Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. I want to give a book review today, and the book review is the Complete Word Study New Testament, King James Version by Siros Zodhiates. Now this is my copy, yellow, the Complete Word Study New Testament. Now I have to say I can't remember how much it cost. It cost quite a lot of money, but it is exceptionally good. Quite a big volume, beautifully bound by AMG Publishers at Chattanooga, and basically it is a King James version, but it is a King James version that has lots of features. It's not a Greek Bible, it's all in English, but it has many features that are absolutely outstanding. For example, against every word is what's called the Strong's number. Now the Strong's number is a number that was given by James Strong to every word, Greek word, of the New Testament. And so when we're reading through this particular New Testament, we can see the Greek number against every single word. Okay, so for example, if we see the word honor, we see that it is 5091. We also have something else that's there, and then of course at the end of this New Testament we have the complete dictionary of James Strong against all of those numbers. So when we go back to the end of it, we can take that number without any knowledge of Greek. You can take that number and you can find the exact Greek word related to that English word. This is an amazing, a fabulous thing. Now there's also other things that are an amazing feature. Prior to having that number, that Greek number from James Strong, there's also other notations, and I'll give you this. This comes as part of the Bible. Let me put that on the screen so that you can see. So you can see that if next to the word it says AD, then it means it's an adverb. If it says it's AID, then it's an articular infinitive with a dia. And so this is all the variations of specialized Greek forms of words. Now most people are not aware of what all these Greek forms of words mean. It doesn't really matter that much to us in English, but if you're a Greek scholar, then it will be a matter of great interest. This New Testament also has a number of other features. It has very good introductions to each book of the New Testament. They are very good indeed. Also at the bottom of the page, very often, there will be a little comment, and that comment will have the sign of a little key next to it. And in the text you'll see the key as well. And when the two are linked together, then we either have an explanatory comment or we have a reference that will make that scripture obvious. It'll make it plain. There's also another feature. Very often Siros Zodhiates will actually underline a series of words. So for example in John chapter 15 verse 9 it says, I am the true vine. That's a phrase, not a word, but a phrase. And then at the end of the verse he will then give some references, because what he's underlining there is an Old Testament quotation. So this is really important. And here on this particular case in chapter 15 verse 1 it says Isaiah chapter 5 verse 1 and Ezekiel chapter 19 verse 10. Now when you go back to those Old Testament references, it immediately becomes apparent what Christ is saying, because he's not just saying something in his own way, but he's quoting from the Old Testament. That is really important. You know, the link between the Old Testament and the New Testament is essential in our understanding. And we go to, for example, to Galatians chapter 4, and we see that in verse 27 that Paul is quoting from Isaiah 54 verse 1. That's all underlined. And then in verse 29 He's quoting from Genesis chapter 21 verse 9, and that's very important. When you come to the next verse, which is verse 30, it's Genesis chapter 21 verse 10. So all of these quotations from the Old Testament are really important, and Siros Zodhiates, he highlights them, so it enables us to see where they are. Now, in the back of this New Testament, there's also lots of other lexical aids, lots of other, there's 2 other types of Bible dictionary. Okay, now they're all linked together with just Strong's numbers. So for example, if you want to look up the word spirit, then it's the word pneumatos, and the number is 4151. So when you go to the back of the Bible, look up for 4151 and you will immediately discover the meaning of that Greek word. Now this Bible, this New Testament, is absolutely superb in this regard. I have to say that Siros Zodhiates has probably solved half a dozen of the most difficult Bible interpretation problems for me. For example, in Matthew chapter 5, where the Lord talks about divorce, it is only Siros Zodhiates that has ever been able to solve the purpose of that passage. Now, I want to read a little bit to you to explain something about who this man was, this man Siros Zodhiates. Now, he was Dr. Siros Zodhiates. He was born on the 13th of March in 1922 and lived till October the 10th in 2009. He was a Greek-American Bible scholar, an author, and a ministry innovator, best known for his work in developing the AMG, the Advancing of Ministries of the Gospel International, and a Christian missions and relief agency with operations in over 40 countries, and for publishing this, the Hebrew and Greek keyword study Bible. This was his great contribution to the English-speaking world. So who was he then? Well, he was born of Greek parents on the island of Cyprus. His father first brought the family to Port Said in Egypt, and then to Khartoum, and then Sudan, looking for work. And Spiro's brother, Argos Zodhiates, was converted to Protestant Christianity after hearing an evangelical preacher, and he brought this witness to his mother and to his brother Spiro, who then became convinced of its truth. And after neglecting to kiss a Greek Orthodox priest's hand, Siros Zodhiates was expelled from school, and a lady named Catherine took pity on him and volunteered to teach the boy English. So after completing his Greek education, he attended the American University in Cairo, Egypt, and received a Bachelor of Theology degree from the National Bible Institute, which is later called Shelton College, which closed its doors in 1990 in New York City, and his MA from New York University. In 1978 he earned a Doctor of Theology degree from Luther Rice Seminary of Jacksonville, Florida, and he was also the recipient of several honorary doctorates. Now, he went to the United States in 1946 at the invitation of the American Committee for the Evangelization of the Greeks, which is now called AMG International, where he became president in 1966. Now, under Zodhiates' leadership, AMG grew from a small ministry focusing on the land of Greece to a worldwide evangelistic and relief ministry. AMG founded in 1943 in New York City but is now presently located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it provides a wide range of social services, including care for orphans and leprosy patients, and an expanding evangelistic thrust for advertising the message of the gospel through paid newspaper and gospel magazines in many countries and in many languages. In 1951, Zodhiates' passion for radio was born when he realized the power of media to get the message of Christianity to the masses. So using his Greek background and knowledge of the Greek language as a springboard, see, Greek was his language from birth. So this is a man that never learned Greek in seminary. This is a person who learned Greek from his mother's knee. Zodhiates took to the airwaves, teaching the New Testament in the light of the original Greek meanings of words, and his program New Testament Light began on one station in rural Pennsylvania, and in its heyday was heard across the United States and in Canada. As his career progressed, Spiro became recognized authority on the Greek New Testament. His Bible teaching carried from radio into other media as well. In 1975, he launched Pulpit Helps magazine, a monthly publication designed to provide pastors with insights from the original languages of the Bible and tips on sermon construction and illustrative stories to enhance Bible teaching and news from Christian missions around the world. So Pulpit Helps still exists today, helping thousands of readers in the United States and other English-speaking countries. New Testament Light was developed into a television show during the 1980s and broadcast on numerous stations throughout the mid-1990s. So in addition to the Hebrew and Greek keyword study Bible, Zodhiates published over 200 books in English and 82 in Greek, many of which are in-depth word-by-word commentaries on the books of the New Testament. He started a book house called AMG Publishers, which was obviously his own publisher to enable him to publish his own books. And he was also responsible for introducing modern Greek pronunciation from classical and Koine Greek into the US colleges and universities through a guide to modern Greek pronunciation, and his tape recordings of the entire New Testament from Nestle's text in modern Greek pronunciation. He recorded with modern Greek pronunciation special courses on New Testament Greek for those who wish to learn it in their own classrooms. He was used in texts such as J. Grisham Manchin's New Testament Greek for Beginners and Summers and Davis's grammars. Now, he began to suffer from health problems in the 1990s, and he transitioned out of active work. Through his many commentary manuscripts are being edited and published. His radio and television recordings are being distributed digitally. And he died in Chattanooga on October the 10th in 2009. So do I recommend this? Absolutely I do. This is one of the best New Testaments for any preacher and teacher of the scriptures. It will repay all of the money that would be needed to buy it. I don't think that they're very cheap, but it would be exceptionally good buy for anybody to get hold of one. So I highly recommend it. Well, God bless you. I look forward to catching up with you all next week. Have a great day today. Bye for now.